This is Positive Solace with Attika Choudhary.
Our last guest in this series, Women of Vision, is actor Myra Khan. She made her debut in 2011 with the film Ball, which became one of the highest grossing Pakistani films of all time. Myra's films have treated many social issues, such as rape in Verna and other issues in Prince Charming, and the film currently under production, Aik Hai Nigar. She's a producer, a UNHCR Youth Goodwill Ambassador for Pakistan, and is a mother to a 12-year-old son. Myra, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
You're most welcome. I'm doing good. I have just returned from a very, very tough schedule for Aik Hai Nigar. I was away for 18 days, and that literally has never... I don't remember the last time I was away for this long and not have my child there.
Oh,
You know? So it was tough, but also one of probably the most, I lived the character completely. So it's been good and bad, tough and the most rewarding experience as well.
And is this the first time you've worked since the pandemic has sort of kind of eased a little bit, would you say?
No, not at all. I think by the end of year one of Corona, I went back and shot for Nilofer in Lahore. That's when I got COVID myself.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that was last year. December sometime, November. And then I shot for my drama, Hum Kahan Ke Sacche The. And then I did Aik Hai Nigar. So
wow, you've been busy.
It's been a full year. Yeah. Now I want to take a break. Now I just want to be like, I don't know. But then again, I get sick of sitting at home and I don't know what to do. But I think I have enough things to deal with, which I can get, just be busy with and not be thinking, oh my God, I have nothing to do and go back to work.
Would you say you're a workaholic then?
I am completely. I'm admitting it today. I have to admit it. I am.
Right.
I think I want to constantly escape. I don't know. I think it's some sort of, I don't know what it is. I think it's some sort of an escape, but I also think that I just am a workaholic. I think I have been since I was young. But I do want to slow down my pace of life a little bit. Let's see if I can do that.
Well, I have definitely actually slowed down my pace of life this year. For the first time, yeah. I realize the older I get, the more time I need to spend with my body and myself and my mind. And I think this year has been interesting because, like many of us, we've been sort of thinking about reflecting upon ourselves and how can we move forward. And I think sometimes when you're like myself, be like you, when we're 100 miles per hour, we achieve no more, no less, we continuously work.
Yes.
But so I've definitely, my New Year thing was this year. I never do resolutions, but thing was take a slower pace in life, enjoy life, take it in, breathe, and take each day as it sort of comes, I would say.
I think I'm trying. Let's see.
You might, who knows? And you mentioned about your son, and we'll talk about motherhood later on in the podcast. But how was it like being without him? It's very hard for a mother. It doesn't matter what age they are, but I wonder how mothers do it.
It was tough because no matter where I do go, if it goes over a certain number of days, Aslan comes to me. Someone or the other will, either my brother or my father I'll just be like, pack his bags, he comes to me. But this time, that just, school had started. I usually do not work in August.
Right.
So that's something that's sort of like a rule. There's some months, some days, which are totally off limits. August is one of them. I don't like working in August, especially because school starts, So the back to school thing, I need to be there. I need to settle in myself, right?
Yeah.
And so because we were on this time limit, we were I didn't know what to do. And then when I said, okay, now it's extending, I need Aslan to come here. Aslan was just like, no. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I don't need to come. And then it was the first time I realized that, oh, he's going to be, I mean, he will be 12 years old this September. He's become a big boy, you know? He wants to, like, he has his own kind of life at the end of the day, right? School, friends, going for different classes. I was like, please, every time I was like, please, Hassan, it's going to be so much fun. He's like, Mama, but you'll be working. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, but you'll be on set with me. He's always on set with me when I used to go work. But I also realized that, yeah, he needs to be in a routine. He's not a baby anymore. You know, it's important for him to be in that sort of routine. So yeah, it was tough for sure. Like by the end of it, I think all of us were like, but enough. We want to go home, you know?
And when it's your only child, I guess you feel more sort of protected over him, don't you? You want to like, mother him and cuddle him, and as mothers do. My mum's are very much the same. Even though I'm getting older, I'm like, Mum, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a grown-up woman. But it's the thing that mothers have.
Is a mother. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, even till today, I even on this shoot, like when I was down or when things were just. Because I was producing and I've never really seen the back end of things in such like, how do I explain it? It was really all out in the open. I wasn't hearing about it. I was seeing it. And it was a difficult thing to do, be a producer. It was a set run by all women.
Amazing.
And I think a lot of times people take advantage of that. A lot of times people don't like that. This is the first time I saw it myself. Instead of just hearing stories, I witnessed it. I went through it. And so yeah, there were times which were tough. And like you said, I even at this age, I would call up my mother and be like, Amma, you got to pray for me. Like, you got to pray. Today, you got to make a special prayer, And that's what you do, because you eventually depend on your mother, to pray for you, to care about you. And you just feel we're lucky that our mothers are around, because you start feeling like I'll be okay because my mother prayed for me.
So true. I so agree. I'm the same. I don't know. I mean, this pandemic, I realized how much time I love being around my parents, how much little time I did spend before that because of work and traveling. You realize actually I'm very grateful every day to have them around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you touched on so many little different things about production.
Sorry.
No, not at all. You spoke about the production that you're working on. Now, congratulations on your production house, Soul Fry Films.
Yeah.
And Aik Hai Nigar is one of those that you are producing under your banner. What an amazing role that you're playing, because it's based on a true story about the first Muslim female lieutenant general, right?
Yes. I mean, I think it's a role of a lifetime, to be honest. I hope that a lot of people get to watch it, because it's a telefilm, and you just don't know. With dramas, I feel a lot of people watch drama serials, but with films in general, I think, especially a telefilm that comes on air once on a channel, hopefully when it comes on YouTube, everybody will get to watch it. It is just, like I told you, it's probably one of the most, it's closest to my heart. And
really?
Yes. And when I say this, like every time I get into a role, I'm like, this is it. This is the closest to my heart. But I can actually be very like, I can see this with all I've got, that out of everything I've ever played, this character, this role, this story affected me the most. I lived it. Like, you can't imagine how it was for me. Obviously, it was a biopic.
Yeah.
Meeting General Nigar was, it was amazing. What a life she's lived. She's a girl, like, she's a legend. She is a legend, and she's, mashallah, say, alive. She's a serving general. She is, when you're going to watch it, you're going to realize what a story. And just living that was just amazing. And also, I always wanted to do something like this, where I'm making a story about women. I don't mind making stories about men or women. We made Barma Khilari, but this I had put all my might into, and everything. I cried for real. I laughed for real. I broke down for real. And there are very, very special moments during the filming of Aik Hai Nigar, which I will never forget. So yeah, I was very, very, and I think I was just, oh, you can't imagine how I was. I was one of those, I wasn't just an actor or a producer. I was doing everything. I knew it better than, in fact, I have to say that there were some officers who used to come to me and I used to be like, your badge isn't like this. And they're like, what? Who is she? How can she tell us the uniform is? But that's how into my role I was in. I mean, it was, yeah.
You're really in it.
And I can't do anything for a little bit. I need 2-3 months off. I feel it's taken a little bit of not a toll on me, but yeah, it's just been.
It's exhausting, right?
Yes, it was exhausting because I was playing for the first time a girl who is in her 20s,
right?
All the way up to a woman who's in her late 50s. We've tried to age me, which is a whole process. You draw lines, aging, a little bit of white hair, but then I also used to wear a bodysuit.
Right.
So it was so hot in Pindi, so hot that when I used to take off the bodysuit, and this sounds disgusting, it was made out of jersey,
right,
full of cotton. And literally, I would feel bad giving it to my costume designer, Fizza, because it used to be just wet.
Soaking wet.
Then I would dry it out and then I would put it back on. It used to give me rashes and it would be itchy. But that's something that very few people get a chance to do,
Yeah.
Where you have to change your body language, where your body looks different, where you're made to look older. It was something.
So you were part of a whole process, literally behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, and telling the army officers what their badges should look like.
Yes, I will.
I love it. It's quite a lot of you're taking a lot on, to do all that. How do you find the strike balance? Because obviously behind the camera, there's a very different way of dealing with things, and in front of camera, I know you sort of touched on the fact that a lot of you were women, and it was the first time you had a sort of women production team working on, and you had to deal with a lot of issues whilst doing that. So what were the challenges you were facing?
Well, the thing is that if it was up to me, I would have taken a long break between Hum Kahan Ke Sache The and Nigar. But it just so happened that with Hum Kahan Ke Sache The, it just kept getting delayed. Dates wise, Aik Hai Nigar, because it is the army and because we had to deliver certain dates, so we had to shoot it back to back. And in the middle, I did Prince Charming, which was just 2 days of work, but I definitely got into that in a way that it mentally, I just totally got into that girl's mind. So, it was just back to back of these one after the other projects. I would not have done it that way because it takes a toll on anybody. No matter what, no matter who you are or what kind of mindset you have or how mentally and physically healthy you are, it doesn't matter. I feel that it definitely takes a toll on you. And again, I'm not the most mentally and physically stable, as far as taking all this work. I need some time. I have a personal life as well. I have my child, my parents, my nanny, my family to look after. So it got heavy for me. So when you ask me, how do I strike a balance? To be very honest, I couldn't. I wasn't able to. I usually am pretty good. I wasn't able to. And I had to just accept that I can't do it. So I couldn't do it. And obviously it, like I've come back and I'm just like, okay, focus, Azlan, 7th grade. And of course, I'm sitting on the edit also, working on music for Nigar and all of that. I have 10 days left of Hum Kahan Ke Sache The. But at least this feeling of a deadline and being away in another city and working 18 hours, 20 hours, like talking about it, exhausting.
Fair enough. I mean, people always feel, this is the perception people have, that actors, they have this easy life, they have nannies, they have this and they have that. They have everything done for. But people don't realize actually making a film in itself is hard work. And then you have other responsibilities, which you also have to work on. If you have a family, like you said, you've got to look after your family, you know, they come first.
Right. And look, I have friends who have nannies, and I'm sure a lot of the things become more simpler. But I don't know. When I had Islam, the concept of nannies was kind of not around as much. I mean, it's always been there. But yeah, I always used to tell my friends, I don't have a nanny, I have a nanny.
I like
now
that.
But the nanny's also given up now. She's like, I'm too old. I can't do this. So yeah.
Oh no,
yeah,
damn.
I'm pretty hands-on, and I think, and I like it that way. But yes, like you said, how do you strike a balance? You definitely cannot strike a balance if you're working this much. You know?
No.
So yeah, I wouldn't want to lie and tell people, because people look at us and think, oh my God, she's superwoman. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I know people suffer around me when I take too much work. And I think I can sort of do it all. You can't. You have to pace it out.
Yeah, definitely. And can I just say that you have marked 10 years this year of your career as an actor. What an amazing journey, and congratulations on that. Despite how tired you feel, how do you feel about that?
Oh my God, I mean, it's been magical. It's been really something. It's 10 years to bowl in May or June, I think, and 10 years, and now in a few weeks, I think 10 years to Humsafar. So yeah, so it's been magical. I think it's been, for me, I don't think I could have asked for anything more. Just the love and the kind of respect, the kind of expectations, which sometimes get really, tough. But expectations, I know, come from people because they love you. And, they expect a certain standard. They expect you to be a certain way. And also they've also been very forgiving. And, people in general have been great to me. This industry has been great to me. I've learned so much. I'm also grateful, Attika, that I've been able to sort of do it my way. That is actually what I'm grateful for. That I could just be myself. And even now I'm able to do it my way,
And what's the magic in that? What was it? How did you manage to do that?
I think that I don't know if innocent is the right word, but kind of unaware. I was also someone who was, not from this place. I knew what I wanted, but I also knew that there are certain things I will not do, and that was just something that I had in me, even when I was younger. And even though initially you get a pushback, I think that if you stick to whatever you think is right for you, eventually people see that and respect that. And I think that's what happened with me. And I do it till today. And it kind of, initially it's a little hard. And then eventually it's, I don't know, it just works out. And then you sort of live on 10 years down the line to say that I did it my way.
And why not? And embrace it and live it, enjoy it. What would you say your best memory has been then in terms of filming, looking back at what makes you sort of...
Oh God, now that's heavy. I mean, all these 10 years and all these 10 years.
Yeah.
That's too much. I think there's been a memory from everything I've ever done. I mean, starting from bowl, I remember very clearly, not very clearly, that's not true. Very vaguely remember shooting for Hona Tha Pyar and feeling a little bit of a butterfly in my stomach, like, ooh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be in a movie, I remember shooting for Humsafar and sort of understanding the beauty of a relationship of a director and an actor with Sarmad. And then so many other things. I mean, recently I remember being on the sets of More Saiya and feeling like God, like I'm on this set and I always like these kind of songs. And here I am in this heavy. My shoulders were just killing me. In fact, at one point we thought I'll have to, go to the hospital or whatever, because this whole arm had become numb.
Oh, gosh.
I was like, wow, this is it. This is the dream, And I would look at Asim behind the monitor and I used to be like, so I, even now with Nigar, with so many things. In fact, I was telling, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you know Attika Choudhary.
Yeah.
I was speaking to him and we were talking. He was telling me about how, anyway, I can't repeat what he was telling me, but I can tell you.
Fine.
Yeah. I can
a
tell
smaller
you what
version.
Yeah. I can tell you what I was telling him. I was telling him that, Vase, even after all these years, and I really mean that, I'm not saying that just for effect. Even when I go on a commercial set or a photo shoot, which I rarely do, even the smallest of sets, or even something which I know is I'm just going because I'm going to get paid and I'm going to do this or whatever. I swear I feel so excited. And it's not a lie. Like, I'll go to a commercial set thinking, how am I going to do this? And he's like, are you serious? I said, I'm serious. Like, be it a drama set, be it a film set, be it a small commercial set, or even just a photo shoot. I'm excited. I'm excited till date to stand in front of the camera. It excites me even till today. And it's like I'm some little girl standing in front of the camera and thinking, oh my God, my dream has come true every single time. And I hope it stays like that. Otherwise, I'll have to leave because I'll be bored. That means.
What would you do if you had to leave?
I mean, if I got tired of this and if this feeling sort of left me, I just would go away. A lot of people just think that one day I will run away. Bushra Ansari keeps telling me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's like, you're not meant to be here. You're a Malang. You're gonna run away. That's what she always says. She's like, tum bhag jaogi. Bhag jaogi.
Where?
She's like,
anywhere.
You'll be somewhere alone, living a life in Europe. I'm like, I hope that's right. But until I'm alone, living a life in, like, I don't know where. I hope it's Europe. She was like, I'm telling you, that's what you're gonna do.
Who knows? We'll be having this conversation 10 years' time. I'll find out what you're doing.
Hopefully I'm still here playing all these daddy roles and mum roles.
Can I ask you what was your desire to become an actor? I mean, when did you start to decide that you wanted to be an actor?
Oh, I think from the moment I watched my first film. I can't really remember what my first film may have been, but I remember watching Ram Lakhan, and I remember feeling, this is it. This is what I want to do. This is where I belong. Yeah.
And that's where your journey began.
Yeah.
Who was your inspiration when you were watching these films growing up?
We weren't much of a TV, TV family. Like, what I mean is that, like, my parents are not filmy parents.
Right.
At all. So sort of this jam, I think it just was there. And then a lot of it came from my khala.
Right.
Who loves films and who loves dramas. And so she used to make me watch a lot of these dramas, Pakistani dramas and Indian films. And I used to I liked everybody. I wanted to be everybody. In fact, I would look at everybody and think, oh, I can do this. I used to think that this is my calling.
Well, it has been your calling, because you've done, such incredible roles,
Thank you. Yeah.
And when you were taking on these roles, what was going in the back of your mind? Did you ever feel nervous about it? Even when you did your first film role, were you nervous?
Yeah, I was. It was like a mixed sort of feeling of feeling nervous and also feeling like you belong there. Mm-hmm. And that's a feeling which is easier to overcome, because I remember every time I stood in front of Shoaib Mansoor or Sarmad or whoever, I used to feel very nervous, but I would always also feel that I know this, like I belong here. So yeah, when you have that in your heart and your gut, I think you overcome it. Of course, there are your peers who help you out. Shoaib Mansoor had a lot of faith in me from the very beginning. Sarmad had, he is such a great director, and he used to just give me attention. I used to feel very important, that there's this director who's constantly taking care of me,
Oh.
Same goes for Asim Raza. Same goes for Mehreen Jabbar. I've had very, very good directors, actually. Even Momna, for instance. I mean, these are people who had faith in me for a very, very long time. I had this thing in my heart or faith in myself that I'm supposed to do this. If not today, tomorrow. If I'm not that good right now, but I'll be great later. These are all these, when you're young, you think all kinds of things. And these were the things that I used to think.
Yeah. And it's nice to know that people believed in you and that they pathed your career a little bit to help you through. Like you mentioned Shoaib Mansoor quite a few times in this conversation. However,
I mean, these were the first people who sort of, gave me these roles. Yeah.
Yeah. And in this, whilst you were doing all this, and obviously, whilst you have a lot of successes, like I mentioned in my opener, your film was one of the highest grossing films in Pakistan. And then Humsafar really kind of got you recognized on a global sort of platform. Have you ever encountered really difficult situations that really tested you, your patience, I guess, your resolve? How did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I think anytime someone is talking to me about my journey or my career, I constantly do want to sort of talk about the good, more the bad, the positive side of it, rather than something that wasn't so great or the dark times. But obviously there have been dark times. I mean, this is 10 years is a long time. And I've been lucky enough to experience a lot of love and success, So with that comes a lot of, it can be professional failure. It can also be personal failure. And I've experienced both. Suddenly, people who shower love on you and are constantly just saying, Myra, Myra, Myra. Suddenly, they're the same people who are then trolling you, There are articles which used to put you up on a pedestal, which used to talk about, where you're headed and what you're going to be or who you are or who you've become. Suddenly those same, articles turn into negative articles about someone's downfall, about my downfall or how it all went wrong. These are things that have happened to me. And it was really, really tough, of course, because I felt like, it was like a sudden sort of, I don't know how to call it, like a sudden slap on my face. Like, oh my God.
Yeah. A wake up call, like a wake up call.
Well, a wake up call is very different. A wake up call, but yes, sort of like a wake up call. And you just are like, okay, now how do I handle this? Because the initial shock is, how did this happen? Why did it happen? Did I do something? And if I did something, then how do I correct it? And honestly, in my case, there were a lot of things that I had not done. At least not according to me, not what I think is right and wrong. But I learned a lot of great lessons. I learned that at the end of the day, when you get that much love and so much respect, you have to take care of it in a very different way than anybody else. Even your peers, even your contemporaries, everybody. If this is the kind of, if this is the place they've put you at, then you've got to look after it in a very different way. I realized that I am so many things. I could go on and on. But I learned a lot. I faced a lot. And again, I have to tell you that what sort of brought me back up, now that I look back and now that I think about it, is that I just, in my mind and in my heart, I knew that this is not the way it's going to be. This is just a passing phase and it's not going to last. And I have much more to achieve, to offer. And I think that's what keeps people going, more than anything. It's faith in yourself and faith in God. And that's sort of, I bounced back.
Yeah.
So,
That's great to hear, because there's a lot of women in this line of work who really struggle. And some of the things that we touch on in this podcast is mental health, your mental health, your well-being, because that plays a big part in your well-being as a human being. So, you know, when you face challenges and obstacles, and like you said, is when you have the good times, you have to sort of understand how to cope with that, how to deal with that. And that's why I asked that sort of question, because, you know, whilst, you know, like you want to talk about the good, but with good comes also the difficulties in life as well. And there's a lot of women who listen to this, because you are my woman of vision. There will be a lot of women, young girls, who aspire to do what you're doing. And you're definitely inspiring me with some of the film roles you've taken on, not as a performer, but some of the subjects you're touching on, I think are so, so key. And it's so wonderful to hear that, to hear the fact that you're sort of taking on roles that really are making something that we should be talking about, you know. I hadn't even heard about Nigar until I came across it on your profile, you know. I mean,
exactly.
What an amazing story.
Oh, and you don't even know.
I know. Isn't that embarrassing? You know,
I know, like, you don't even know what this story is, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what do I tell you? I can't even tell you anything right now, you know, like, but when you watch it, you'll see. And I hope that you can interview her, because honestly, there are very few times I've met people and been in complete and utter awe. She's one of them. What a woman, what a life that has been lived so well. So many challenges, so many tragedies. And again, you just, you rise above it, and I don't know, I can't explain. She's something else. I used to think that these roles are sort of like therapy for me. You know? I used to go out, go do these roles and come back. But actually, the last 2-3 projects have not been therapeutic at all. Hum Kahan Ke Sache The was, she's just a bitter girl, and she's unhappy. And during the shoot, I was like, oh my God, why am I feeling not happy? And I realized that it was because of Mehreen Mansoor, you know. And then I did this Prince Charming for Sherry, and I didn't realize how much that would affect me. But that affected me a lot. Also because I related to that character a lot. And I was just like, no.
Okay.
Then I went for Nigar, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have so much fun. This is where I'm going to really, you know, just enjoy and act my pants off. I mean, I had a lot of fun with a lot of the scenes, but as we went deep into her life, that also kind of had a little bit of a toll on me. And I think as I'm evolving as an actor, what's happened to me is that I'm starting to really live the characters I'm playing.
Right.
I never used to do that fully. I used to be very scared of that.
Right.
And now I feel like I don't have anything to lose. That has affected me. And that's why I'm going to be a little bit more mindful of what I take on next.
Mm-hmm.
I have, you know, I've sort of decided a few things. Like I've just, you know, just thought that next time I pick up a role or a story, and I hope people are watching this, because I think a lot of people think that, you know, I only work with certain people, you know, and the big directors and the big this and the big that. I actually do. I want to work. I have enjoyed so much. Like I enjoyed Prince Charming so much.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed Nigar also. But I think I'm just now looking for a story that speaks to me. I'm looking for a director who can just break me down and just like make me into something else, you know. Because I don't mind doing romance. I love romance. I love it. That's probably the most favorite thing. I can also do it very easily.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And I enjoy it, but I think I am really ready to, if I am going to give time and if I am going to sort of deep dive into a character, then I want to be able to just, you know, do something else different.
Yeah. I will look forward to seeing what that's going to be.
And
you mentioned, inshallah, you mentioned Prince Charming. Now you got a lot of, you got applauded for that film. But what was interesting was that film deals with marital depression, something that people don't really talk about in many societies, not just the South Asian society, but
all over.
Yeah, it's a problem all over the world. Can you tell us a bit about that film? Because you mentioned just a few moments ago about it. You said that, it really kind of something that you felt. What was it about that film?
It just spoke to me. That story spoke to me. Yeah, I just gave into it completely. And I felt that it was an important subject. For me, it wasn't about marital depression. For me, that's not the way I looked at it. Mm-hmm. For me, it was just mental health and how people can be so unaware of people who are not doing well. It's something very close to my heart. I see it on a regular basis. I deal with it on a regular basis. I just think that we are very unaware of it. We can be very insensitive to it. And sometimes it's not even our fault, because someone who does not have any mental health issues, or who has not known somebody who has mental health issues, they cannot understand. Obviously, to them, it's like, sometimes to them, it's an act. Sometimes to them, it may be, come on, move on. Sometimes it's another person being ungrateful for all that they have. It's a lot of things to a person who doesn't understand it. So for me, it was just a story which I thought should be told. And if I'm in it and it can reach a wider audience, why not? Also, I was just so proud of the way Sherry handled it, directed the whole film. He knew my vulnerabilities. He knows me really, really well. So he tapped into those vulnerabilities. And I trusted him fully. So it was really a work of just love and trust, and something that is very important to me. I talk about it a lot whenever I can, but I think it's just something that we should be talking about, and we should be making people aware about, not in a frivolous sort of a way, but in a more informative way.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely. And it was a really great, what I saw of it, it looked wonderfully directed. Visually, it looked amazing. Now, there's been many great roles for women in cinema and TV, but is it not still a man's world? And how have you dealt with that?
Oh, tell me about it. Now that after this production, I'm like, it is a man's world. But that doesn't mean that, we are not going to fight for our space, and I think we all have been doing that. I think that we have been very successful at doing that. I think the Pakistani TV industry specifically is woman-centric. And I love that. You can say as much as you want that we have regressive stories. Yeah, a lot of the stories are regressive, and we are going to take time in evolving that. But man, look at us. The heroes are women. Female actors get paid more than male actors in Pakistan television. And that's amazing.
That is.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even right now when I was producing, and it was a huge shock to me the way some people were reacting and how they would be around sort of an all woman. And when I mean all, it was an all female sort of led team. All the head of departments kind of were women, mostly all the head of departments. Yeah,
that's amazing. In Pakistan,
and they all had trouble, but it was a step in the right direction. And again, I don't mean to say that I will only hire females. No, I won't. I will hire whoever is right for the job. But yes, I will be conscious and mindful of the fact that there are women around who are as good as men in many, many departments, right? And I will give them opportunities. And we did that. And it was tough, but at least we did it. I think.
What was tough about it? What was so tough about it?
Don't ask me. Don't make me open my mouth. That is for another day. I've definitely I am going to write about it. I feel like I'm going to write about it. Like I've been so, I've been a little just, I didn't know that this also exists.
Do you think that women are undervalued then and maybe over-sexualized in the film and TV industry?
I mean, world over, they're undervalued. World over, they've been over-sexualized. I don't think that is such a big issue in Pakistan. To be honest, I feel what is a bigger issue is the stories. I think we need to move away from, and I mean, I can't even say anything. I've just done a story which has same 3 cousins, 2 girls who like the same guy. Yeah. Literally. I mean, what am I supposed, I can't be, how do I preach about it? I always have, I stayed away from it. And then I eventually was like, okay, I like the story because something works for me. It works that this girl is not crying and this girl is not a bichari. And eventually I like how it will pan out. I like the fact that this is more about what elders do and the kind of stuff they say and how it becomes toxic. It's a very day-to-day story, but at the end of the day, there are things about it which are regressive. Yeah. And so I would like to see that change. I'd like to be a part of those kind of stories so that hopefully they'll reach a wider audience. But yeah, I mean, I think Pakistan, there isn't such a big over-sexualization of women. I don't think so. Okay. I think there needs to be a much, in fact, on the other hand, I think that Pakistan can do with a little bit more of women being able to freely speak and freely express themselves, actually.
You've often spoken about violence against girls and women. You said at one point, no more shame, no more excuses, and no more blame. What has happened that would change this in Pakistan?
You see, the problem is there is a culture of shame, unfortunately. Not just here, world over, but a lot. I mean, I would say the subcontinent is full of it. When we say rape culture, what is that? A lot of people don't understand what rape culture is. It's the culture of shame. It's the culture of propagating this idea that shame is on the victim, on the woman, which is really sad. Because the shame should, and I've said this many times, shame should lie with the person who has done this grotesque thing. Whether it's rape or it's sexual harassment or it's being sexually assaulted or molested, whatever it may be, the shame should lie with that person, not with the woman. How will this end? I think we need to start talking about it within our families. I think we need to be much more, we need to be much more vocal about it. We need to say that, no, we are not going to question this woman for going to this guy's house at whatever time in the night. No, we're not going to talk about what she wore. No, we won't talk about why she was there on a highway at this time. We're not going to ask these questions because that is again directing shame to a victim. I think that is a major, major issue over here, especially where the minute something happens, everybody in the most educated households will say, वो वहाँ क्या कर रही थी? वो उसका boyfriend था. वो वहाँ गई क्यों अकेले? These are the wrong questions to ask. And that needs to be ingrained, if not in the generation before us, in the generation after us. This has to be ingrained. I mean, I feel that it should be taught in schools. This is something that should be taught in schools, put on TV. There should be programs where children understand this, understand what abuse is, understand what being molested is, understand what shame is being associated with the victim, all these things. So that's, I think, what I meant. And this is how I feel that we can sort of try to make a difference. As far as the drama and television industry, I think we also can have a very big part to play.
Well, you did Verna, which obviously touched on rape, didn't it?
Right. Yeah. I did Verna. It didn't touch on, it was about rape. And it was, I have to say, by the way, people in England loved it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
people, but it wasn't. It wasn't very well received. In fact, I have to read something out to you. I think you will
Sure.
appreciate this.
And why do you think it was not well received, out of interest? Do you think it touched on, did it hone into a subject that people felt uncomfortable about, that we shouldn't be speaking about
did.
it?
See, let me read.
Sure.
So Shoaib Saab messaged me.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I don't know if I can. Oh God! Again, these are private messages, and
you could say it in a way, in a nutshell, so you're not giving so much away if you don't want to.
Well, he basically was reading out different things, and he was sending me messages just recently after the Noor case.
Yeah.
And he said, I think Haroon had written this, where he wrote, I remember while shooting Barna, I'd questioned Shoaib Mansoor, how is it possible that someone can walk into a park and pick up a girl and rape her in broad daylight? Sounds impossible. Shoaib Mansoor's response was, hota raha hai, ho sakta hai, aur hota rahega. Right. And this, I think he posted when the Lahore incident had happened. He wrote to me, yes, many objected and asked me. A couple of seasoned journalists made a campaign against the film and succeeded in failing the film. Main reason behind the flop was psychological. That a girl wearing jeans and speaking English is considered to be indulging in free sex. How can she deserve empathy at being raped? Now, this is a very, very interesting. Yeah.
Gosh. Okay.
He goes on to say several things, but he says, someone else who wrote to him, her character is so strong that people couldn't digest it. An excellent demonstration of her strength and willpower was that she goes to him again by her will. You actually proved Mera Jism Meri Marzi. It's on her how and what she wants to do, even with her body. So a lot of people have actually asked me this, that how were you okay in the story where she goes back to her rapist? And I was like, oh my God, that's the part that clicked. I thought, oh, what is this story? And people, I swear to God, people used to come to me all the time and say, no one would do that. I'm like, really? Have you not heard of people who do that? Have you not heard of that model that Harvey Weinstein had raped? And she went back to his hotel room to get evidence. Yes, people do that. Yes, there are women who are that angry that their body has been abused, that they would go back so that that person can be behind bars or can be killed or whatever it may be. So as he said, that a story like Varna was just not accepted because, and I don't know this. I don't know if I agree with this or not, because I don't know why it didn't work. I'm sure there were flaws in it, but the fact that there was this girl who was wearing jeans and speaking English, maybe it was okay that maybe psychologically, why did she wear jeans? Why did she go here? Why did she do this? Yeah. So that's an interesting point.
But is it to do with what you wear? And people keep saying this about what do you wear and how you dress, but that doesn't make it acceptable, does it?
Absolutely not. It has nothing to do with that. Absolutely not. There are women who are raped in burqas all the time.
Exactly.
There are children who are molested in their own homes.
Yeah, exactly.
There are little boys who are molested, raped.
Yeah.
It's completely rubbish.
Yeah, and there's a very, very touchy subject, but one that we must all sort of highlight. And thank you so much for making a film like that and coming from Pakistan, because it just doesn't just happen in Pakistan; it happens all over the world, and we need to start changing people's mindsets. Which is why I want to sort of touch on the subject. There are other things I wanted to speak to you about. One is what's happening in Afghanistan. Now, I know that you are a UNCHR ambassador for refugees, and you were out helping Afghan refugees in Pakistan. What are your thoughts about what's happening right now?
It's sad. It's sad what's happening right now. it's really sad. I know someone who is in Kabul at the moment, and it's just really, really sad. We keep thinking, what can we do, right? And we have been for the last 40 years. We've had refugees from Afghanistan. I know that. I've seen it firsthand. I see it every single year firsthand. And I think we will continue to support the refugees. But it's just sad, because you feel, I mean, as Pakistanis, where the neighbors, when you look at something like that, you don't just think about them, you do think about yourselves as well, that this could be us. And I hope it isn't. I hope that the people of Afghanistan get some respite.
Yeah, and we can do as much as we can. Now, you are my woman of vision, and I don't know how you do all these things, but you set up Mashin, which puts women first. I love it. And actually, I was featured in it by your colleagues about my. It was amazing. The Independence Day,
amazing, and I cannot take. Honestly, at the moment, I cannot take credit for it. I have to give credit to Maha Rizvi. She's been with me since we launched. So it was me, my brother, and Maha. Literally, she's just amazing. Mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. And my brother, who conceptualized it and who works on it. So, and of course, the entire team. But she is and he is the driving force. And like I said, because I've been so caught up, literally just yesterday I wrote something on, like, I was like, listen, why are we doing this or why are we doing that? And they must have been thinking, did she just wake up? Because
we've been doing this a lot.
I'm constantly looking over it all the time. But now that, in fact, now that I won't be working, Mashin is one of my biggest priorities, along with my family. I need to, because we need to see where we can take it and how we can take it forward,
Yeah.
So, and I'm so glad you enjoy it. I'm so glad that people enjoy it. Wherever I go, people are like, we love Mashin. And I'm like, oh,
it's so unique, because you talked about Muharram, for example, and it went into details about Muharram, and it's just the visuals and the content. It's just, and it's got some, boosters and like Monday motivation or whatever. So it's a great page to look at. And then also you did your podcast, which you touched on.
Yeah, we're going to do another podcast, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
When's it coming out?
No, we're just finalizing the different topics, because.
Okay, right.
Yeah, because the last time it was very close to my heart. I was going through something and I was like, I want to talk about loss.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get people to talk about this. So that was really great. But now we're just thinking about what we can touch upon, who we can get, which will be informative. And we're thinking of cool new things to do, hopefully.
What was it that you learned from that? Because grief is although I would say that in our community, we perhaps talk about it more than the Western community does. What was it that helped you in terms of dealing with grief, would you say?
I feel like what I've realized is that anytime I'm going through something, some sort of loss or grief, the more I try to struggle, it's like almost like I'm caught in a storm. And the more I try to struggle, I feel the more I get caught up in it. The more I try to save myself and swim it out or whatever, I get caught deeper into the tide. So I think I've realized that I just let it happen. I go through the motions. I go through the pain. I let it take over me, no matter how painful. And I go through the period of denial and crying and not feeling good, and sometimes to go to a very, very dark place. But eventually what I've realized is that if I just let it happen to me, I'm thrown back out on the shore.
Yeah.
I survive. So I've stopped fighting it. At this age, I've stopped fighting it. I have faith. I go through the motions is basically what I'm saying. I used to fight it. I let it be. I let it be. I think so.
Myra, it's been such a wonderful journey with you on this podcast. I do feel that towards the end, I wanted to ask you so many things, and I'm sure there's another space and time to talk about your journey. But the films that you've covered, the issues that we need to hear are what we need to be hearing from. And your production company, I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you.
You are my last Women of Vision for this series.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was like, I had to get her. I was like, I had to say her. I said, if I don't get her, like, it's not going to end it with I want to end it with a bang, because I
wish I had dressed up better. My makeup artist just never showed up. So
you don't need makeup. You don't
but I thought that I'll maybe blow dry my hair. Maybe I'll get something nice. And I was like, oh, forget it.
That you have these days, but you are, despite doesn't matter what you look like, it's what you are as a human being.
Thank you. Same for you. Same for all of us.
Important for us. And what an incredible career you have. And I look forward to seeing what more you create. I'm really, really excited. And keep doing the good work. Embrace the good and the bad and the ugly, they say. And inshallah, I will definitely speak to you guys soon. And
inshallah. Thank you. This was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Subscribe to Positive Solace on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube at Positive Solace and at Attika C on all platforms. Contact us if there are any stories you'd like to share with us. Thank you for listening.